Boy, it is just a sad day when you see parents that literally just show no regard for human life and their kids. With a situation like this, I was only able to find actually obituaries of the little boy in this situation. These are the parents right here. This beautiful little baby boy right here. I want to tell y'all his story. I believe his story deserves to be heard. But before we get into the details, because I might have some choice words about the parents who caused his death, let me give you guys a disclaimer about my content. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. Now, I'm getting this story from a unique source, which is Manhattan. Let me see. Manhattan. Let me see. How do you say this? Manhattanda.org. Manhattanda.org. So that's where this article is coming from. It looks like some type of government website, but it gives very detailed information as far as what's going on with this story. So instead of reading from a traditional news article, I'll read from this to kind of tell you guys a little bit of the details. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg Jr. today announced the indictment of two people. Let me get their faces back up on the screen. That's one of the faces. Busted face looking boy. He just looks like a murderer. Let me get both of their faces on the screen so y'all can see exactly who I'm talking about. Because that's one of them right here. That is Nytavia, Nytavia Ragsdale, very hood name, 26 years old. And LaRon Molden, Modlin, Modlin, 25 years old, which is this guy. And they were indicted for the death of their 4-year-old son by the name of Jah'Meik Modlin, Jah'Meik. Jah'Meik Modlin, again, he is 4 years old, and the abuse of their 3 other children who were ages 5, 6, and 7 years old in their Harlem apartment. So Harlem taking an L. 4 kids, and they are both 26 and 25 years old, respectively. What's up, Von Shay? How are you? Can y'all understand when I say that, ladies, it's just not a good idea in general, not all, and it don't apply to all men, not all situations. The general idea is men are not responsible enough to be fathers under the age of 30 years old. When you find somebody like some of these good men out there, or even find men that are just happen to be responsible fathers like myself, I get that you might want to ignore the statistics telling you that it's smarter to just wait until after a man is at least 30 to 35 years old before you try to procreate, have kids by him. Because number one, he should be mentally more stable and ready to have kids. Number two, men don't hit their financial stride until age 35 to 50 years old. Let me say that again. Statistically, men are much better and much stronger after the age of 35 years old financially. So if you want a man to be able to provide for their child financially, then it would make sense that you wait until after 30 years old, but definitely after 35 years old. That's a statistical fact. Men do better around that age. For this mother having 4 kids at 26 years old, too many kids, too young, and just flat out irresponsible, in my opinion. They are both charged in New York State indictment with murder in the 2nd degree, 4 counts of assault in the 1st degree, manslaughter in the 2nd degree, criminal negligence, negligent homicide, and 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Now, the death of Jah'Meik Modlin, an innocent 4-year-old child, is a tragedy and has scarred the city. That he died a slow and painful death, starving alongside his older siblings, somehow isolated in the heart of Harlem, is a stain in our collective conscience, said District Attorney Bragg. So they starved this baby to death, which is one of the most horrible things you could possibly do. Y'all catch that? Horrible. What's going on, Dippy? Good to see you. Dippy Escapes is in the building, my friend. What's going on? What's going on? They starved this baby to death. Today, his parents are indicted for allegedly killing him through extreme physical neglect and persistent abuse with depraved indifference for his life. Our Child Abuse Bureau is working diligently to secure justice for Jah'Meik and to support his 3 siblings during this immensely difficult process. Again, I want y'all to remember that the other kids are, where their ages at? I just saw them. 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and a 4-year-old. Back to back to back to back. So here's another thing that I personally believe, and I've shared this with you guys before because I'm always trying to teach, okay? I'm always trying to teach something on here. I'm not just on here just being a jerk off, trying to just say mean things. I'm trying to actually teach and get somewhere. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I always try to explain to people when it comes to having children why it is so difficult to just raise one child, let alone 2, let alone 3, let alone 4 or more. They are all individuals. They all have very, very sensitive needs, and they all need to be shown an extreme level of care. So I'm going to tell you guys, in order for me to raise my daughter when she was first born, because I was my firstborn, it took me, her mom, my dad, her mom, her grandmother, her cousins. It took all of us to come together as a village to help support my baby. Still to this day, to help raise one child. And me and her mom are pretty decent at what we do. But it took all of us and still takes all of us to raise one child. Let alone bringing in a second one who's going to have their own unique needs, then a third, and then a fourth, and then you look up and then you're just swimming in shit because it's just so much to take care of. And I continue to try to tell people, as much as y'all think, you know, it's your body, your choice, and all of that good stuff, that's wonderful. You can have as many kids as you want to, make a big family, because that's how you grew up. That's wonderful. But you know when it don't become wonderful? When people start to suffer, when you can't pay your bills, when you can't properly take care of the kids, when you can't get them proper daycare, when you can't give them proper attention, when you can't properly teach them how to read and talk and go to the bathroom, potty train them, and raise them. That's when it becomes a problem, when it starts to become everybody else's problem and they start to suffer. So then at that point, I have to question and say, you know what? Maybe the way that y'all are going about doing things is not the right way to go. You see what I'm saying? I use these stories as cautionary tales because I'm tired of watching people just bring all these dozens of kids, all of these hundreds of thousands of kids into this world with no plan for how to execute being a parent. It is overwhelming. It is hard. It's not easy. I don't know who told people. It's just easy. Like you know, it's cute and wonderful to look at the little baby when they're first born. You get all this help. You get your what do they call that? The baby shower. You get diapers and formula and clothes and little outfits, and oh, it's so cute, y'all. It's cute for the first couple months until all that stuff runs out. Then reality starts to set in. Then life starts to take its foot and start shoving it right up your rear end. And what do? You just let your sexual nature just take over, and you just got to get some more dick and some more pussy, and you just like, you know what? I got to get me a nut. I got to make me another baby and have unprotected sex. And then you go make another one. And then you go make another one. And then you go make another one. And then look at where you are. Now you're in way over your heads. That's when it becomes selfish, and I cannot allow people to just keep making these choices and act like it's okay. Hashtag babies for benefits. Thank you. We got a lot of hashtags. Babies for Benefits is definitely one of them. Thank you. Our Child Abuse Bureau is working diligently to secure justice for Jah'Meik and to support his three siblings during this immensely difficult process. If you are aware of severe neglect or abuse, please call 911 in an emergency or contact 212-335-4308. Now, according to court documents in a statement made on record in court at approximately 7:42 p.m. on October 13, 2024, this year, Motlin called 911 and stated in substance that Jah'Meik was non-responsive. Yeah, you probably wouldn't be if you're starving and beating him. Yeah, I probably wouldn't think that the child would survive that, right? But nonetheless, the child was taken to the hospital and was given end-of-life care until he died at approximately 5:50 a.m. the next morning. So this baby had to be in horrible shape. According to court documents and a statement made on record, Ragsdale and Motlin actively starved their children for approximately 2 years while purchasing food for themselves on a daily basis. Okay. So that means they're just assholes then. Flat out. Terrible people. The apartment had a working refrigerator that contained fresh produce, but it turned so that the door was facing the wall and could not be opened. Any cabinet containing food had a zip tie on the handle. One bedroom in the 3-bedroom apartment was covered in feces. Disgusting. The floor could not be seen through the amount of dirt and excrement on the floor. There was shit. They're saying there was shit on the floor. The walls were smeared with feces to the approximate height of a child. The only other items in the room were a few pieces of broken furniture as well as a mattress propped on its side and covered in feces. That is disgusting. The room was the only room in the apartment with a lock which was placed on the outside, allowing someone to lock an individual inside of the room. None of the other rooms in the house had doorknobs. Jah'Meik and his siblings were not in school, and I want y'all to keep in mind they were 4, 5, 6, and 7 years old. That's literally back to back to back. Not in school and had not seen a doctor in over 2 years. The defendants kept any family or friends from visiting in person, limiting communication to phone or video chats, continuing to isolate the children and hide each of their deteriorating conditions. At the time of his death, Jah'Meik weighed approximately 19 pounds at 4 years old. 19 pounds, less than 0% on the growth chart for a child his age. He suffered from malnutrition, dehydration, and starvation. At the time of his death, he almost had 0 body fat. That means his body was literally eating itself from the inside out. Jah'Meik and his siblings arrived at the hospital with layers of dirt on their skin and feces matted in their hair. His siblings, who remained hospitalized for malnutrition, displayed very limited fine motor skills and were incapable of holding any utensils or feeding themselves, as nutrients have been introduced to these abilities are starting to return. Assistant DA Heather Buchanan, Chief of Child Abuse Bureau, and Assistant DA Lindsey Gus are handling the prosecution of this case under the supervision of the Executive Assistant DA Justin Nabney, Chief of Special Victims Division. The charges contained in the indictment are merely allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent unless proven guilty. All factual recitations are derived from documents filed in court and statements made on record in court. For those who want to email me and tell me that I don't have my facts right, well, maybe y'all need to email them and tell them that they got the court documents wrong, because that's literally what I read from the court documents. Now, let me give you guys the fair usage, and then I'll give y'all more about my opinion. Let's get it. And yes, we are live. Let's go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I just don't even, to be honest with you, as a human being, as a father, as a man, as somebody who was raised by his parents, I personally don't understand the thought process that would go into, I'm going to lock these children in a room with no food, not teach them anything. They have feces smeared everywhere. You won't clean them. You won't take care of them. You won't feed them. You starve them. You probably beat them, and you watch them die. Why put the kids through this? Why have them? I don't understand what would ever even make a person think to lock somebody in a room and starve them to death. Like, where does that mentality come from? You probably weren't treated that way. And both of them did this. If you ask me, what do y'all think? I think they need a life sentence in prison, and they do not deserve to have reproductive rights. That's what the hashtag TT on TTT means. Take the ovaries, take the testicles, because they should not have reproductive organs. All right, let's go.
Relatives of a child in Harlem who allegedly starved to death plan to sue. Prosecutors say his parents kept food from him.
Other family members claim the blame rests solely with the city. Investigator Masa Saidi is looking into whether this tragedy could have been prevented.
Officials say most of Jah'Meik Maudlin's short life was spent behind this door. Video appears to show his mother, Natavia Ragsdale, carrying him out October 13th. He was unconscious. Prosecutors say he had been starved by his mom and dad, LaRon Maudlin.
Jah'Meik's death, which included malnourishment and abuse, reflects ACS's negligence.
On Thursday, attorneys and the mother's sister, Naisha Ragsdale, announced a $40 million lawsuit against the city. In documents, they reference multiple reports to ACS. But previously, the family said one time 2 years ago, an anonymous person had filed a complaint with the city. They say ACS came to the house to investigate, then closed the case, despite the mother's request for help with mental health and domestic violence issues.
How many times was ACS called? And did you ever contact ACS asking for help? And when was the last time that you saw this child?
We answered those questions already, so we're not answering again.
So now you should never called ACS, correct?
We're getting so many different conflicting stories.
She's right here. Can she answer the question?
No.
An ACS spokesperson not answering questions either. They say due to state confidentiality laws, ACS is doing an in-depth review. The agency charged with oversight of ACS is the Office of Children and Family Services. In a statement, they tell me they'll examine the family history, any prior or current child protective investigations, but much of this will occur behind closed doors.
The state says that she did not feed her children. If that turns out to be true, in your view, should she get millions of dollars for that?
First of all, the surrogate's court will determine if damages are obtained in this case, either by settlement or trial, how that's distributed.
And Masa joins us now. This kind of thing just hurts your soul to even be discussing this, but it's important, so we must, right? So what are we going to learn about ACS's involvement here, and when are we going to actually find out?
Okay, so first I just want to acknowledge this is very, very difficult work that they do, but the agency that may ACS have done something wrong here decides when information is released, and typically they don't tell us much of anything about this. So that is a topic of our investigation tomorrow night at 11, whether something needs to change. There's a push to get ACS to be more transparent here.
Yeah, you know, when this case broke, we knew that Jah'Meik had siblings that were also in the apartment. What is the status there? Who's caring for them?
So at last check, they were hospitalized. Prosecutors say they were on an IV because they couldn't even eat food. The family is not sharing any more details about their condition, but we pray that they're okay. But the family does want everyone to come out to the funeral for little Jah'Meik Tuesday, October 29th at a church in Brooklyn. We'll have information posted on our website.
Okay, Masa, so important to get to the bottom of this one. Thanks so much.
Masa, thank you.
Yeah, after an all-day search, police tell us now they have ultimately been found. They are with relatives at this hour, but everyone continues to wonder how their sibling, this 4-year-old boy, could have ultimately been so hungry that he died. Miss Ragsdale, what happened to your son? With her arms and legs shackled, Nitavia Ragsdale kept her head down as she was taken to court Monday night. The mother charged by NYPD after they believe her 4-year-old son was likely starved to death.
I seen her one time go and buy chicken, and she'll eat it out here before she go back. Like, hold up, you got kids. Oh, I ain't gonna eat it up there because they're gonna be begging for it.
Erica Speed has lived next door to the family for 3 years, telling us Ragsdale has 3 other children, the oldest an 8-year-old girl, but neighbors have never seen any of them.
I never see them go to school.
Sunday night, the boy's father called 911. Medics came to their apartment on 7th Avenue and West 145th Street. Jah'Meik Modlin was very sick, according to sources, and doctors couldn't save him. A possible lethal combination of malnutrition and an undiagnosed illness.
That 4-year-old went home to be with you, Lord.
Monday evening, clergy and community activists said a prayer for the little boy.
It is a responsibility as a community to look out for each other, for all of our children.
Neighbors say the mother appeared down on her luck, never wanted to take any handouts. However, there are plenty of family resources available in Harlem.
We're available if parents need to just have a moment to download. We can help them get their child in some care.
Early Monday morning, we saw heavily armed officers rush into the home. They went to do a welfare check since police, like neighbors, were concerned for the 3 other siblings. But later in the day, they were finally located with a relative, according to sources.
At the end of the day, you're supposed to protect your...
Ragsdale is facing charges tonight of criminally negligent homicide. It's unclear if the boy's father also will be any sort of trouble. That is still under investigation in terms of his involvement. The medical examiner will ultimately rule on this little boy's cause of death. We're live in Harlem. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Good evening. I'm Maurice Dubois here at 6 now. It's been more than a week since the tragic death of a 4-year-old in Harlem, and police say it happened at the hands of his parents. Today, for the first time, we're hearing from the family of the little boy's mother. And as Lisa Rosner reports, they say domestic violence issues were reported multiple times and nothing was done.
Outside the Administration for Children's Services headquarters in Bed-Stuy, the family of Nitavia Ragsdale came to her defense. The 26-year-old mom is in jail on charges of second-degree manslaughter in the death of her 4-year-old son, Jah'Meik Modlin. Prosecutors say last weekend he was found unresponsive in his Harlem apartment and weighed only 19 pounds when he died a short time later.
Yesterday, I've spoken to Nitavia at length in Rikers Island. She called ACS, spoke to the social workers, spoke to the Department of Education about the domestic violence that she was going through in her home.
Modlin's father, 25-year-old LaRon Modlin, was also arraigned last week on charges of manslaughter and endangering the welfare of a child. Prosecutors say the couple's 3 other children, ages 5, 6, and 7, were found in their Harlem home malnourished and have been hospitalized for about a week now. They were not enrolled in school.
The family was not aware of the circumstances within the household.
Last week they saw the kids on FaceTime, but FaceTime was very quickly, so they showed them from the top up.
Police sources say ACS previously investigated allegations of mistreatment of the 4-year-old, but the investigation was unfounded. An ACS spokesperson says state confidentiality laws don't allow the agency to share case specifics, adding in part, "We continuously assess our work, including through an in-depth review of this case, so we can identify opportunities to strengthen our policies, practices, and services."
We are calling on Attorney General James to do a thorough investigation because we don't have faith in the fatality review.
The New York State Attorney General did not get back to us. We also contacted the lawyer for the children's paternal grandmother who is trying to gain custody of the children. He did not get back to us either. In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Lisa Rosner, CBS News, New York.
Well, Aaron and Candace, this is a case that has shocked the entire city. And now, as the family is preparing for a funeral, they're seeking accountability. They're demanding an independent investigation. As well, they're filing a multi-million-dollar legal action against the city.
We have filed a notice of claim for $40 million in damages for a death which never should have happened if ACS was doing its job.
Family members of 4-year-old Jah'Meik Modlin claim the city's Administration of Children's Services failed the little boy who died after being found unconscious in his Harlem apartment. Weighing only 19 pounds, he died of starvation and dehydration.
He was a wonderful kid. He played, he laughed, he smiled. It was him and his siblings.
The boy's mother, Nitavia Ragsdale, is in police custody charged with criminally negligent homicide.
I know this video was a little low. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. And thank y'all for welcoming people who are here. If y'all would do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up, please, please, please. So you caught a live trial, just ended. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I got y'all live chat on the screen there. But thank y'all. If y'all would please hit that thumbs up to share these videos. And let me know if you can hear this or if you can't.
As is the boy's father, LaRon Modlin. 3 siblings, all under the age of 7, are still hospitalized, being treated for malnutrition. ACS claims it previously investigated the parents who
says second-degree manslaughter, so correct me if I'm wrong, but she would only face under 10 years. That's the thing about it. That's why they need to try to get the stronger charges, but they have to be qualified charges. So the thing is you don't want to charge somebody and then they be able to get it overturned because they're just like, wait a minute, this doesn't qualify for this. So you want to try to get the appropriate charges. But I think because this was torture and they knew about it, you could probably get a murder charge pretty solid on that. Because you knew about it, that's premeditated. That should be a murder charge. That should be a life sentence at best.
Allegedly locked food in kitchen cabinets in a home described as a house of horrors.
Despite prior allegations of abuse and a prior investigation, ACS failed to intervene, which allowed Jah'Meik to be in a dangerous environment. Jah'Meik's death, which included malnourishment and abuse, reflects ACS's negligence in providing protection for children under its care.
ACS says although it did look into complaints, it found no evidence of abuse. The family is demanding answers.
And just to be clear, this is not about money. It's about justice. We want to make sure that justice is rendered in those.
Nitavia Ragsdale could not hold her head up at times in court. She now faces new charges, including murder in the second degree, in connection to the death of her 4-year-old son, Jah'Meik Modlin. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg was also in court as prosecutors outlined how the toddler died in unimaginable conditions.
DA Bragg, any reaction to the charges being upgraded against his mother?
Was here to support our team, and the circumstances here are quite tragic, and we'll continue to litigate in court.
Last month, police arrested Ragsdale and the father of the children, LaRon Modlin, in a case that rocked their Harlem neighborhood and the city. The death of the toddler and allegations of abuse of the couple's 3 other young children are raising questions about what went wrong, whether or not the Administration for Children's Services dropped the ball. In court, prosecutors upgrading the charges described horrid conditions the children were allegedly living in, locked in a room covered with feces on the wall. The children were not in school, had not seen a doctor in 2 years. Little Jah'Meik suffered from malnutrition, dehydration, and starvation. At the time of his death, he had almost no body fat, and prosecutors say his body went into survival mode before shutting down. Ragsdale sat still and stoic in court, hearing how her other children are still in a hospital, doing better, but are having a hard time with fine motor skills, unable to feed themselves at ages 5, 6, and 7.
In that courtroom, the homicide of a 4-year-old, and I just left another courtroom of domestic violence homicide. That's where my focus is. Thank you.
Ragsdale will remain behind bars until her next court date. That's set for December 18th. And with these new upgraded charges, if convicted, she could face anywhere from 25 years to life in prison.
And that sounds closer to correct, because that is murder. That is intentional, right? That is intent. You said if she didn't want the kids, she said gave them to somebody who did. Here's the thing. If she knew that she couldn't take care of one kid, and I could almost guarantee y'all, these pea-brain ass people couldn't take care of one kid when they had it. And you had within that small time frame, that 9 months, I'm pretty sure they were broke. When she finally gave birth, they knew they didn't have no way to provide for these kids. It wasn't all peaches and cream. Then they turned around and had another, and then another. And you're talking about 9 months after 9 months after 9 months after 9 months. And they just kept doing it. With all the contraceptives there are, with all the plan Bs, with maybe even just stop having sex if you just ain't prepared to be a parent. That's what goes with this. That is the basic thing that we all know as sentient human beings. This is a clear case of babies for benefits, because I can almost guarantee y'all that this place that they were living in was probably Section 8, probably paid for by way of those kids. That is my opinion. I am assuming, but that's what it sounds like to me. I hope the other 3 kids are able to grow up and become something great in the care of someone else, maybe even other family members who actually give a damn. But these people, absolutely, both of them should get a life sentence. They knew what they was doing, and they caused these, they were trying to actually kill all these kids, in my opinion. They should never get an opportunity to see the light of day again. Let's get justice for those babies, okay? Jah'Meik, I want to call him Jah'Meik, but Jah'Meik Maudlin, young prince, R.I.P. And to these, like I said, I'd love to see them get a life sentence, period. Thank you guys for listening to the story. If there's any more to report, it's more information comes out, we'll report it, but that's quite a bit. We have enough disturbing information about this. So I'll probably just do a final sentencing. That'll be about it on this story, okay? Thank you.